That wouldn't be worse than
For how many?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Obviously, Maria is in there, but I paid estimates.
Any public comment right off the get-go? Okay, before we get into all this other part of the agenda, about 4 days after our last meeting, our grapple bucket broke. I took it to White's Welding, and they said $1,200 to $1,500 to fix it. So they also said it would take at least 2 weeks for them to have time to tear apart, weld it, and fix it correctly. In the meantime, the street department boys found a used grapple bucket that was being advertised for $1,500. That was a lot more heavier dutier, if that's the correct word, heavy duty than the one we had. So I said, we'll see if they'll take less for it. They came back and said they'd take $1,400 for it. So we went and looked at it, we liked it. I offered him $1,350, and he accepted it. Before I offered him $1,350, I gotta back up, because I forgot that part. I called every council member that's on council, and I said, if we have a council meeting, a special meeting to buy this grapple, it's gonna cost $300. Because every meeting is $4 to $5 a head. They all agreed that if we needed it, we should buy it. So we went back and we offered him the $1,350 and he took it. He wanted cash. Well, we didn't have cash on us, we had a village check. So we came back, Kelly and Ellie gave me the dickens that we shouldn't do it with cash. I said, okay, but can we do it with the cashier's check? And Kelly said that would be permissible. Not a good way, but it would be permissible. And Ellie, she sided with Kelly.
Always.
So we had the approval to buy it for $1,400. They were getting it for $1,300, so we went and got a cashier's check. Bob went up and got it, and we put it to work 2 days later. So, first thing we have to do with all that explanation, because I want to be transparent about this, I need a motion to buy the grapple for $1,350. And we haven't done anything with the old grapple other than bring it home from White's. But I need an official motion to purchase it, a second, and then we'll vote on it.
I'll make a motion to purchase the grappling thingamajiggy for $1,350.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Opposed? Okay. If anybody wants to see the difference of these two grapples, Bob would be more than willing to show you at any time you show up if he's not busy working. But you physically can see how much more heavier dutier, that's not good English either, heavy duty than what we have had in the past. So, we'll drop that. Kelly, we're ready for you.
You're up first, okay. Okay, so, as some of you, I know we have some new people since I've been here last, but maybe you guys were here the last time, I think it was your first time the last time I was here. You are required by the state of Michigan to have an audit done by a public accountant, a every year, okay? So we did the audit for the village. This was for the year ended February 29th of 2024. If we take a look, what we wanna start at, and I know I'll hit kind of the larger, the bigger areas. If you have questions, stop me at any time. Some of you guys have heard this spiel from me, and it hasn't changed much in a lot of years. But the first couple pages are the most important, honestly, for the state of Michigan. That's our independent auditor's opinion. We have three options. We can either have an unqualified opinion, it's called, where everything went fine, there wasn't anything that couldn't be fixed or adjusted. If those, it was a clean opinion, some people call it, but it's technically called an unqualified opinion. Or you can have a qualified opinion where everything went well for the audit except for this area. We couldn't form an opinion on this area. Maybe for instance, possibly you didn't have some invoices for some area, so I couldn't test things. That would be a qualified opinion. Or an adverse opinion, we wouldn't even be talking. I couldn't present this to you, I couldn't do the audit, okay? So there's those three options. You had an unqualified opinion. Honestly, the audit went excellent. You guys, I know you already know, but Ellie is awesome. Awesome to work with. I asked her for something, she had it immediately to me. I'm very impressed with the job that you did, seriously. Everything was in order. I didn't find anything that was a shock or a nature of any kind. All the entries that I had to make were ones that are always made for payables, receivables, that kind of thing. There wasn't anything where she'd made a big mess up or a mess or anything. We did have issues with D&B billing, but you're not alone. Jefferson Township, I'm working with them right now. They're having some issues with that. I knew from looking at the reports, they weren't right. What they were showing for collections wasn't matching what we were showing. I said, either they're saying they sent deposits to you and they didn't, or something's going on here. So we got with D&B, Ellie did, and they worked really hard trying, and it was their error. They had to go back and redo all the reports for the year. So it matched what I had and what she had, okay? So they just today sent the ending ones, but it was right on with what I thought it should be, okay? So absolutely no problems with the audit at all. It went very smoothly, okay? The next few pages, pages 4 through 7, this is called it gets longer, it seems like every year. This is called your management discussion and analysis. I can't say just a few years ago anymore. It's been several years, and now in the next year or two, this is all gonna change again. I wish they'd just leave things alone for a while, but this the state put in mainly so that any person could pick the financial statements up, read through these few pages, and get an idea of what the village does, whether your financials are better or worse than they were the year before. I really like this because if someone just wants to take a quick peek at it and can't read a financial statement, they'll still get that idea through here. Another good piece on this is that this is the only part in the audit where it shows comparative figures between this fiscal year and your last fiscal year, okay? They're big numbers, they're totals, but if you see something that's way different than the year before, then you can, first off, go back and look at the individual line items, or you can ask me why it's different, what's different. But that's the only place. We never used to have comparative figures in an audit ever, okay? So that's a good thing. Now, we will see where the state of Michigan expects you to do this entire management discussion and analysis. Obviously, you don't. Also, they expect you to write up the financial statements. I walk in and get them and audit them. Obviously, you can't. I don't do any that are like that. Some of the bigger cities and things do have that, where they have a CPA on staff that can do the financials and things like that. Greg has one that he does, and that's only because it's a school district that has an outside CPA firm do the bookkeeping for him. So We'll see that noted in a letter that we have to note to the state, but it's common knowledge. Now they'll even say, when we upload things to the state, they'll say, do you have anything other than that to tell us, other than that? So it's not a problem. All right, page 9. This is called a statement of net position. This was relatively new with that management discussion analysis. You have, and we'll see, you have a general fund. That fund brings money in, pays money out for everything other than your streets, major and local street, and your sewer, okay? Everything else, even your fire, goes through that general fund. Oh, sorry. I bet you're in a ballgame. Everything goes through that general fund. Every governmental entity has at least a general fund. I have some that only have a general fund, but you guys also have the streets and then the sewer. So in that governmental activities column is going to be your general fund, your major street, and your local street, okay? Business type activities is sewer. The reason why that's considered business type activity, you charge a fee for it, okay? So it's operated more like a business. On this form is the only place you will see how much value you have in fixed assets, land, building, equipment, vehicles, on the statement. You'll see that you have, like, the biggest one is your vehicles, mainly that's your fire vehicles, okay? $1.1 million. Usually, on your fund statements, you pay $500,000 for a fire truck, you write it off as capital outlay in that year that you spend it, and you move on. You don't depreciate, you don't do anything, it's cash in and out. Here, it kind of gives you a better idea like a business, because you're spreading it out over the life of that equipment, okay? More like a business. So you had only $385,041 left to depreciate, okay? But then if you look over on the business type activities, that one is ran just like a business. So this statement we see and the statement later is going to show those assets like a business. So you'll see the largest is your facilities and mains at $2.5 million, okay? But a lot of that's been depreciated, so you're down to $616,000 left to depreciate, okay? All right, that's mainly what I wanted to touch on that one. The next page, page 10, when they first developed this, I thought, what are they thinking? You never put expenses before revenue. Old school here, you start with your revenue, your income, you minus your expenses, you come to your income. They did it different. They put the expenses up here in that first column. You'll see your general government cost $72,000, public safety, your fire, $88,000, that includes depreciation, okay? Public works, that's your streets, $113,000, includes depreciation, and then $870 of just miscellaneous depreciation that isn't really allocated anywhere. So just to operate your village, it cost you last year $275,000, okay? Now it makes sense to me because we're looking at how much it costs us. Now how are we gonna come up with that money, okay? Charges for services, you can't charge for much of what you do at all, okay? You have $848 for general government, that was like rentals and stuff like that. Public safety, that was your fire runs and things, and then a big piece of that is the township of Adams Township. That's $24,000 if I'm remembering right. Then public works, your streets, that's the rental income back and forth between general fund and that. It's not your state revenue sharing, okay? That's different. Operating grants, that's where your state revenue sharing is for the streets. So as you can see on that last column, you still have $146,000 that you have to come up with to provide the services to the village residents. How do you do that? Property taxes, $86,000, shows down in that first column in the bottom. Local stabilization funds, $7,300. State shared revenue, $58,000. Miscellaneous income, $40,000. So that made you brought in more than you spent, $64,229. Okay, that is even after depreciation, okay? So, what that tells me is, it was like a light bulb, how dependent you are on property taxes and state revenue sharing, okay? That gets cut, your services are gonna have to get cut. You can't spend money you don't have, okay? Sewer cost you $128,000, you charged 103, so you were still 25,000 down, okay? And even at the bottom, you're down 23,000. You spent more than you brought in. That's not cash flow. A big piece of that, $65,000, is depreciation. So that's money you've spent in the past. We're writing it off. Okay. So in actuality, well, actually we'll see that. We'll see that later. Hold that thought. There's a cash flow statement that kind of shows where you actually ended up with this. Okay, without that depreciation. Okay. Sorry, I said this was going to be quick and I lied. I just want you to understand this because honestly, that's my job as part of this audit is to make sure. I can't just come in and say, I did it, it's good, and walk out. You've got to understand because if not, you can't take responsibility for these, and that's one of your jobs to the state is to take responsibility for these financial statements, okay? So you got to understand. Okay. Excuse me. Next page, page 11. This just shows you in more specifics. Your general fund is in the first column, major streets and local streets. It just shows your cash, your taxes that were left to come in, due from other governmental units, that was your state revenue sharing and left to come in. Things like that. You had a little bit of payables to go out, accounts payable, what we do again. Things you paid for in March that were for February or prior, we set them up as a payable, you put them into this year, okay? Into the year that they were actually spent. You'll see you have fund balances. Fund balance is like your bank account. It's like a snowball. It goes along, you make money, you add to that snowball. You lose money, you take away from that snowball, okay? You have to make sure, that's very important, is that you have a healthy fund balance, just like a bank account, just like a retirement fund. You've got to have that nest egg, okay? You guys have a very healthy fund balance for general fund. You have $607,000. Of that, 8,000 of it was prepaid. You've already spent that. That was prepaid insurance, is what that was. Okay, it's already spent, so you don't have it to spend again. But we haven't expensed it out yet till next year when it actually is allocated. But look at your major streets and local streets. See how those say restricted? They say restricted because you cannot use them for any purpose other than that street. Okay, you can't say, oh, we want to get this in general fund. We don't have the money. We're going to use street fund. Can't do that, okay? They're restricted by law. All right, next page, page 12. This is just a reconciliation between those first statements that we did that had the depreciable asset and this last one that doesn't. It's like you pay for something, you bought, we'll see that, you bought a $47,000 vehicle. We'll see where that wrote off as expense, okay? So this just reconciles the two together. I have to make it balance, okay? The next page, page 13, this is the revenue and expenditures for each fund, general, major street, local street. General, your biggest revenue source obviously is property taxes. Next, state shared revenue. We talked about that already, how dependent you are on that. Your expenditures are listed all out here. You'll see largest one is your public works, your streets piece. You had quite a bit of projects and stuff that you did. There's payroll that goes through there. Fire department, then that capital outlay. See that $47,000? That's that vehicle, okay? That one was bought. So still, you had almost a break even with general fund. You were to the positive of 7,000. So you add that 7,000 to your nest egg, your fund balance, okay? Major streets, you brought in 65,000, you spent 85, so you added 56,000 to your nest egg. Sorry. Bringing you into 200,000. I have grandkids with me and I get sick all the time. Local streets brought in 16,000, spent 11, so you added 4,900, okay? Any questions so far? Okay. Next page, page 14, that's the reconciliation too. We have to add back that capital outlay and take off depreciation expense to get us back to that first statement that we used, okay, that we saw. Next page, I won't talk about much, that's your sewer. It's called a proprietary fund because you charge fees, it's like a business, okay? Next page, page 16. Excuse me. Tickle my throat. You charged $103,535 for your fees. You spent $128. 68,000 of that is depreciation. You've spent that capital outlay ahead, now we're writing it off. So you had a loss of 23,637 in the sewer, okay? But you have a very healthy net position there, $1 million, okay? And that's normal for a sewer. Now here's your cash flow. This is actual without the depreciation. It shows you actually without depreciation added 45,000 to your nest egg, which you want to do because of replacing mains and things like that, okay? All right. Next few pages, I'm not going to go through. Those are the notes to the financial statements. Those I talked about. It just talks about the areas in more detail, okay? If you guys do, anybody looks through any of this and has questions, I'm always a phone call away, okay? But note 12 does talk about some accounting pronouncements that are coming up. Nothing that I think you need to be real aware of. There is one, and I'll send you, Ellie, the information. There's a new pronouncement coming. I'm gonna be honest with you, I know this much about it, but it has to do with sick time and accruals and things like that for the employees. I don't know much about it, it's just hitting the press now. I mean, I don't know much, but I do have documents on that, and I'll talk to you and get with you on that. But it's something about how many hours a person works, then they accrue automatically the sick time. It's gonna be a nightmare, I think, for payrolls that we do, but, I'll get with you on that, but that is something January 1st starts, okay? I think it's February 1st, why they did that, I don't know, but. Okay, page 26. As a government entity, you are required, before the end of one fiscal year, you have to adopt a budget for the next fiscal year, okay? You all know that. You do the budget meeting, and, so you have to do that, and you have to watch it through the year, and you have to make sure you're not overextending, okay? It never used to be that they ever showed the original budget anywhere. Now they do, I mean, the last so many years. And I used to have a bookkeeper at Camden Printer School. She would always do the ending one, you know, to the dollar of what was spent. What's that tell you? This tells you where you thought you were gonna be, where you ended up, okay, when it shows both. Anyhow, no problems at all with the budget except for capital outlay. I am really sorry. For some reason, you guys did not amend the capital outlay budget. It was at 10,000, you spent that 47,000 for that vehicle. That was not amended. You still had the money, you still were positive on the bottom line. We have to note it to the state as a finding, only because it's over 10% of the bottom line, okay? Something to just be careful of, watch those, but you are monitoring the budget, you are looking at those, you're trying to stay within those budgets, and I don't know if maybe it was posted somewhere else maybe and was moved at the last minute, I don't know. But that was over, so we do have that overage. The other ones are minor, they're little. Okay, not anything to be concerned with, not anything to be worried about. The state sees the reason why, sees you are monitoring and changing that budget, and you shouldn't have any issues, but we do have to note that. Then you do have the next couple pages, the budget. You are required to do what's called special revenue funds, your major street, your local street as well. Okay? You are not required, but you do, and it's a good idea to do the sewer. Okay, the state does not require that, we don't show a budget for that. Okay, but no problems. All right, next few pages. Because you guys have, we do the government auditing standards, and we do an audit, and we have to look at your internal controls. We make sure, one, you sit and listen, you understand the audit, that kind of thing. That is an internal control. You are looking at the checks, you are looking at the invoices, you've got somebody watching over everybody, especially with you having the same person for a clerk and treasurer. A lot of times you can split that between a clerk and treasurer, but having one person as that, you guys all step up and pick up the pieces there and look at it. And I didn't have any findings or problems with any of that, okay? You guys do an excellent job of that segregation. We do have to note things. Segregation of duties, I'm still required to note that there is just one person doing it, but then I say that you have multi-people working on that and checking it, so I don't feel it's a problem. Preparation of basic financial statements, again, I said I have to note that just because I write up the financial statements, you don't, state doesn't even look at that as a finding anymore. And then that, annual budget, the capital outlay being over, that was the only thing I know. Okay? Any questions on that? From anyone? Okay. The other thing, this other paper, nothing really to note there. We, this is just, this doesn't go to the state, this just goes from me to you. And, if we had issues where I would try to get things from Ellie and she wouldn't give them to me, it took forever, she was battling me and everything, you'd tell them, you wouldn't know I'm here. I communicate that. If I had any issues at all, it would be in here. I did not have any problems, any at all, obviously. If we made any material journal entries, I did send QuickBooks books back to you too, all of them, okay? The only thing that was of a material nature was the depreciation expense that I recorded. That was the only journal entry. I did journal entries, but that was the only one that was material. We do a materiality factor, and that was the only one, and that one, you expect me to do it. I've always done it. So no problems, no issues with any of the transactions. Okay, excellent job. Excellent. Any questions? I'm sorry about the tardiness of getting here to do this. I had health issues that have really put me behind, but I'm on the right track, I think now, so.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. And again, I'm always available. If you have questions, if you want me to come back to another meeting, obviously, you know, that's what I'm here for, okay? I live in this area and you guys are close to my heart. I'm thankful that you guys allow me to do this for you. So, but if you have questions, let me know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone. Just,
Thanks, Kelly.
tell them to set up with me.
Yeah, we'll do, thank you.
See you.
Okay. Consent agenda, we need approval of, motion to approve that. Treasury report, bill, last
Make
week's
a
minutes.
motion to approve the treasurer's report.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Okay, old business, community room flooring. I got a price from the guy that we picked our stuff from. I've got two bills here, I'm sorry, I forgot to make copies. But we're looking close to 10 grand. That's putting the tile that's in front of those green books back there, that long tile, in the two bathrooms. And from this side of the office door up to the entrance door. And then there's a gray square right there on the corner by that tile strip. That does come into squares. And it includes the tile and the carpet and labor to include rip up existing carpet, furniture movement, installation of new carpet and tile. And that's all in the price. One page says $88.77 and the other page says $902. So if you add those two together, it's a little less than 10,000.
I had a question too, and I thought about this after we talked about the bathroom being different. I know at one point we talked about making the bathroom handicap accessible, so is that something we need to do first before we do the floor, so that way we don't have to go back and redo
I would think so.
the difference?
Because you don't wanna have to pay twice for that stuff.
We can table it. I mean,
Let's
Yeah, I
table it and
submitted
see
and talked to,
how much it costs to make a handicap accessible, so we can rent it out and make some of the money back
right,
for
yeah,
redoing.
what's the point of doing all the work if we're not gonna
Yeah,
try, okay,
let's table that.
sorry, I thought about that
Okay.
right after we got the quote.
we'll table it. Steiner mower. We have two. One has got an extremely large amount of hours on it. It's getting hard to get parts for it. I'm not sure if it's that hard to get parts for the newer Steiner because it's newer.
They're both getting hard to get parts for, expensive, hard to get.
But we wanted to sell that one. My understanding, from talking to different individuals that know better than I, if we had a zero turn and we sold the old Steiner, you could actually mow faster, and we could mow, even down at the lagoon, we could use the zero turn, and we'd only need the Steiner for the hills. And there are some hills back there that would make me nervous even driving it in the Steiner, cause it's a steep hill. Didn't have a fence at the bottom, kids would love it for sledding. So that's why we were talking about selling the old Steiner. We did not agree to sell it last month, but we do have some people that were interested in it. And the agenda last month was only to send Grubbses a letter to tell them that we were gonna keep it in-house because we have the manpower to do it. And with the new
Thought we
zero,
weren't sending the letter until we decided.
Right, but we just had on the agenda to talk about
Oh,
last month.
okay, sorry.
Well, Robert, if you wanted to talk now about kind of the individual that you had interested in the Steiner? Is he still
Oh,
interested?
I mean, it's just one of those things, you know, you gotta find people interested, you know? It's gonna be a hit or miss thing.
I guess then what we need to do though is decide if we wanna sell the old Steiner and get a motion.
You can't really put anything up for sale without it being okayed and so forth. So it's kinda just been waiting.
So if you sell the Steiner, what do you do about the hill mowing?
We have another one.
Oh,
the,
I'll make a motion to sell the old one. And
I'll second.
all in favor? Opposed? Okay, I guess we can advertise it.
and then we need to get prices on lawnmowers and stuff before that decision's made.
We've got 4 different ones already, and then we've talked a little bit. You know, I've talked a little bit about different ones and prices as well, so. Quality, replacement parts, prices, you know, more local parts, easier to get. Like the last part for a Steiner took us 3 weeks and it was for a pulley. And it was almost $50, so. There's a big difference between the old and new in availability for parts alone. So.
So we voted, we can sell the Steiner, correct?
Yes.
All right. We done the audit. Tree removal, we were all done with tree removal, and an individual got me to look at the tree in front of their house, and they have kids. It's a huge maple. Top notch, give me a quote. $1,400 to get it down, he said they would have to rope the limbs down because of the driveway and sidewalk being new there. To chip the brush up and clean it up, $300, and to grind the stump, $250. That comes to a total of $1,950. Technically, even, going walking underneath the sidewalk, it could be a hazard, especially if the wind blows. And if I recall correctly, we're still under budget of tree removal.
That's
That's what I was wondering.
And we're still under budget on our tree removal from our budget, though this will push it pretty close. But council has to make a motion to either let it go until next year or approve to have it cut down.
I'll make a motion to cut it down.
Where's
I'll
it
second it.
located?
Where's it at?
Where's it at?
Right next to the First Baptist Church on the west side. Go to Della's house.
I'm sorry,
Yeah, it's like falling apart. It's not-
Yeah, it is.
seconded that.
Miranda
Um,
seconded it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's a danger to kids
Yeah.
and
Very
it's not acceptable. Don't need any.
Sometimes I'll go
So
outside.
we have
and
a
just-
motion, and we have a second, correct?
Mhm.
I just second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, I'll call them tomorrow.
There's too many kids.
Now I lost my agenda. There we go. Tree removal, street report.
Are you ready?
Bob?
Well, we used about, probably a quarter ton of asphalt. And tinker around with that paver, it's doing nothing. So to me, it's worthless, taking up space. Send it to the junkyard, in my opinion, but if you can do something with it, get something out of it. I just think by the time you put money into it, and for what little you have that you could use it for, this is not beneficial. It takes more than 2-3 guys to do it, really, unless you've been doing it for a long time. And even then, good luck.
Well, it did fire, but it won't stay running.
Is it, did we decide on that last time? So,
Well, we looked at, seeing if anybody was interested in it, but I don't think, one guy looked at it and wanted to pave the road and then charge us money and still take the paver, so, like, we would still owe him $2,500 by the time it was all said and done, so. Wanna just try and sell it, and then if it doesn't sell by next meeting, then try and scrap it? Does that sound, so we get hits on it?
And I think it's worth a shot.
yeah, try to sell it and then.
I mean, at this point, it's taking up a whole bay in the barn, which could use trucks or anything like that. As far as that, everything for snow removal is all ready to go and up and taken care of. The leaf vac is up and running at this point, see how it sucks. We did a lot of work to it today. That's about it,
When are we starting to leave? Pickup?
already.
Okay, you've already been starting.
Yeah, we just did a whole round Tuesday, whole village, quite a few. And we got, was it the second week of December? First or second week?
Second or sixth?
I don't
Second, but sixth is technically the last day.
Did we put that out? Okay.
I put it on Facebook and I'm gonna still put notices on the post office.
Yeah, someone asked me to know, like, the other day, I guess.
Yeah, it's on the Facebook page, so maybe we can share it to the community page.
Okay.
We're trying to compost the leaves to have topsoil of our own. So we'll see how it goes. Aside of that, it's a bunch of odd and end stuff. Every day. That's all I got.
I make a motion then for Bob to look into selling the paper and if we get any.
I have looked at prices of different ones and sizes. Some of them $2,000, $2,500, $4,000, $8,000, just varies. The one for 8,500 runs and it looks good.
Oh, wait, we're talking about mowers?
No, the paver.
Paper? Oh, okay.
I was just checking them out just to see, you know, what something like that'd be worth, and it doesn't seem like they're worth much.
make the motion.
Second.
Second.
Steve? All right. Say, get that baby advertised.
Can I
Tom, wait a minute. Back up, Bob.
Sure.
You said you wanted a quarter ton of asphalt or?
No,
hot patch?
I used a quarter ton of it.
You used, do you need more?
No,
Shouldn't need as much this year with the 3 new roads.
no. There's not really
Okay,
many holes in town, and if you put it on them little cracks or bumps, it's just gonna come right out. They're just so shallow. Even hot patch would have a hard time adhesing. So,
it's been brought to my attention that the Hillsville Street going from north of town to the south end of town, all the manhole covers are pushing down. And when they redid that road, nobody said anything about putting those cement donuts around it. But the reason we put the cement donuts around it, going east and west and on all the new streets, is that cement doesn't allow those lids to push down. So, with council's approval, I would like to look into calling Michigan Paving, because they've done the 2 projects that have these donuts around these manhole covers, and see if we can get the outside contractor that does that to come in and give us some kind of rough quote to put the donuts on north-south Hillsville,
to raise the manholes up,
bring it up to road level.
when you get them, I would be interested to know what they charge, because you could rent a Bobcat, a jackhammer, whatever the case may be, or just a jackhammer. They're just disc and then you reconcrete it. It's not horrible, but takes some work, but it's possible.
And we probably wouldn't get it done until next summer.
But it's still something that might be able to be done here through us.
They come in with a Bobcat and it cuts the donut right out of the road.
Well, it's already cut, cause they cut it to put the concrete in there. So they have floater biscuits that go in between the ground and the manhole itself.
We
So
can
you
get
can actually
prices
raise it.
and get with you on it.
Maybe we can
Always council
do something
approved.
better and save more money that way.
And that would, the cost of that would come out of our major street fund, and we have ample amount of money in there.
But if we can do it cheaper, that'll keep costs down.
It'll keep that.
If you do it in-house cheaper, I would prefer that, but we need to price it out.
It's worth checking into anyway.
Major streets, it's got the most street fund money in it.
'Cause I'm
Breland
saying-
Street, for what it's worth, nowadays it doesn't warrant it, but it is a major street. So we could take that we could get that repaved out of major street money, the same as Cutler Street going down around the bus barn. And then we have to put a tile between Martinria and the car wash to get rid of the water, and that would come out of major street fund also. If we start looking for bids now, then we'll be prepared to do that next summer early. So I would like to pursue that with council's approval. You don't need a motion, just if you don't like the idea, speak up. And then I'll come with some prices, and then we can say yay or nay.
That's a good idea.
Yep.
That sounds good.
Okay.
talk about funds while we're still kind of on streets?
Yep,
So we've been talking with Bob Levi, we have, so we still have landlines and the back office. The one back there right now is tied to the sewer, and we need to do a little more research with Brian as far as the cell phone he has and if the 2 phones are tied together in the alarm system. But in talking about all this, we thought maybe it'd be beneficial for Bob to have a cell phone that we can then give that number out to village residents, so they can contact him directly if they have issues, you know, driveways, potholes, whatever it may be. And that way he's not giving out his personal number, and just kind of make the work order flow better. So, and just looking at different phone plans, and we could get him a phone plan for like $45 a month. And then the initial cost of the phone.
Or cancel out the other ones that actually pay for
Yeah,
itself, really.
Right, which is $25, but I gotta talk to Brian first, just to make sure that everything's going through his cell phone before we get rid of it. So, not something we necessarily have to decide on today, but just to kind of keep
That
it.
would just come out of general fund, right?
Mhm.
I'd say that'd be fair. I wouldn't wanna give my personal number to,
Yeah. And that way too, because I guess even Levi, you know, living in the village, people are kind of going to Levi when they have concerns, and this way we can say like, okay, you need to be talking to Bob and addressing, you know, not going up to Levi at the corner store and saying, hey, you know, it's 7 o'clock at night and I have this issue, so. So I'll table that for next month, and like I said, talk to Brian about his cell phone and just maybe get some more concrete numbers.
And we have do we have Xfinity?
Comcast. Yeah.
So, if you have Xfinity, you can get a phone line through them. So I'd look into that, because that's who I have, and it's a lot cheaper.
Okay.
And if you have
Service is good.
Yeah, if you have Xfinity, you can get like a line for like $20.
Oh, perfect, okay.
So,
Start with that.
and the service runs off of Verizon, so
So it's pretty
we
good.
usually have service almost everywhere here.
Sure.
Not very often do I not have service.
Okay, thank you.
Too much going on with that.
Are we done with streets?
That's extra.
Any other questions, any other issues? Okay, before we turn it over to Dallas, we talked about getting a plaque. And this is what we got to put on our showcases. So these trucks were donated by Ken Smucker, 50-plus years of fire service to the community. And after I got the plaque made, we finally found out it was 51 years. So we're close, but we're gonna hang that on one of the showcases in there.
That'll be nice.
We did, I had Ellie purchase 2 small locks to keep the glass doors from sliding open and closing. And there's one cast iron, 2-horse-drawn fire truck down on the bottom. I'm wanting to, I would like to see that put up on top, but I would like to see it wired down so it can't move. I don't know how old it is, but I have to imagine it's worth some money, so if it's at least wired down, it can't roll off and crash. Okay? Dallas Fire Department.
Okay, last month we had 22 total calls. 16 were medical, 3 fires, and 3 PR events, which PR events cover football games. Last month we did hose testing. That's a yearly thing that we have to do. We had 5 sections of hose fail. So I'm in the process of getting a quote to get those replaced. Ran into an issue with one, so that's what the holdup was. So as soon as I get those back, I'll probably bring it. We've got plenty to replace it, but nothing to fall back on, so we're gonna replace these 5. So once I get that, we should be fine until next month, and I'll bring it to you. We do have 3 flashlights that do need batteries. 2 are the older ones. Those batteries are $24.99 a piece. And one of those is the newer LED flashlight, and that battery is $60.11.
Said 29 what, please?
$24.99, I need 2 of those. the other one is $60.11.
I'll make a motion to let Dallas purchase 2 batteries at $24.99, 1 battery at $60.11.
Second it.
Two, or that's a piece. No, it's not 2 for $24.99.
No, right,
Okay.
two,
Okay,
at 20, yeah,
But
each.
you're talking less than $100.
yeah.
No, it'd be a little over $100.
A little over.
Oh, yeah.
That's good, I didn't say.
$48 for the two, and then
It says free shipping.
Do you need an extra battery laying around, or just,
No, the flashlights usually last quite a while. We don't really have much of a problem with them. It's just two of the older ones that the batteries got weak. We had one that was weak for a while and then it ended up dying and then kind of just got pushed off to the side. And then here this last month, we had 2 more. So then I was like, well, it's just time to replace all 3 of them, so.
okay, did you get a motion?
Yeah, we did.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Get the batteries ordered, Dallas.
The Halloween parade, we had 37 kids. That was nice.
We had more than that on a trunk or treat, didn't we, Melissa?
I think some of them wandered off.
Pardon?
I think some of them wandered off before the parade, so yeah.
I think they did.
Oh,
The last thing I have is fire class, starts November 11th, so this coming Monday. I've got 2 people that I could put in that class. Council approves it.
did you say 2 or 3?
2.
2?
Yep.
And the cost is,
The cost has been $250 the last few years, and I haven't heard anything where it's changed, so
okay, so
so $500.
$500.
can we ask who they are?
Bailey Rutan and Cody Kies.
Need a motion?
I'll make a motion.
All in favor of letting these 2 young people go to fire class?
Aye.
Opposed? I know for those that don't know the names, Cody was a cadet that worked in the fire department before he went to the military for 3 years or 2 years. And now he's back and still wants to do it. Okay. Is that it?
That's it.
Brad, we didn't overlook you on purpose, we
That's
just,
all right.
we just overlooked you.
That's all right.
Ready for it?
Yes, we are, please.
All right. The handouts, is some courtesy of Michigan Association of Counties. I just actually looked, I only have a short, so you're gonna have to make a copy for him to share with him.
What we've done before.
I mean, yeah, for council members, but I didn't have one for you, so. So, I just looked, it looks like that the Republicans will retake the State House of Representatives in Michigan. And that's why this piece of information is relatively important because of lame duck. I've talked to you previously, and I realize the village, you have a sewage system, so pretty much all of your residents are on that. However, anybody who lives outside of the area that is served by the sewers, this is a particular concern. Michigan is the only state in the nation that does not require, on a periodic recurring basis, septic tank inspections. So, and there's been a push in the legislature for years and years and years to pass that requirement. And of course, the good of it is, boy, it sounds like a really great idea. The bad thing is if you live in the village of Frontier and your house is worth $40,000, and they tell you gotta put in a $24,000 engineer because it won't pass the inspection every 5 years, you literally be putting people out of their homes. So there's always been a large pushback and balancing that that where, you know, there's a problem, to try and work with individuals, but not to inspect. Plus, there's also the burden of inspecting them. So anyways, this is just an information piece from Michigan Association of Counties. The Board of Commissioners has gone on record previously being opposed to that legislation, that if individual counties, as part of the building inspection process, they want to require something like that, they should do what is best for their county. But each of Michigan's 83 counties are individually different, and I will stand here in front of you and tell you that I would find it to be a very significant economic burden on a number of the residents of our county, and particularly our elderly population. And so hopefully this legislation won't move forward, but you might want to just reach out to Representative Fink and Senator Bellino's office in the waning hours of this legislative year and say, if there is any movement on this, to please continue to oppose those at their level. So with that said, congratulations to all of you whom were reelected, and I will look forward to working with you all in the coming year. I did speak to Mr. Beach this morning, and thank you, Ellie, very much for reaching out with your congratulations. I did want to say to you, thank you for re-electing me. I know that I had an unopposed race in the general. I did have an opponent in the primary, but just a point of note, I always see elections, even unopposed ones, as a report card. Of course, in Michigan, we can do a straight ticket voting. Some people elect to do that, some people don't. But we have vote totals for our 5 commissioner districts that we have throughout the county. And I am humbled that of those 5 districts and my fellow commissioners, that I had the highest vote total. So that means that of those residents throughout, you citizens throughout the county, you've overwhelmingly said we support the job that you're doing. And I see that as an excellent report card for myself. And thank you very much for that continued support. As always, I will continue to be here for you. Outside of your meetings, feel free to reach out to me. So I'm always there to listen and do what I can to help you if you do have issues with county government. Moving on with the update to our 800 megahertz radio system, I am happy to report to you that we have now purchased 2 pieces of property to locate towers. One of those is here in Adams Township, and it is on Reed Road. I believe it's about 3 acres that we are purchasing there. And right now we are in the finalizing portion of that. We have to do environmental studies. That's a requirement of our bond council. So we're doing that level 1 study on both those sites. The other is down in my home township, Woodbridge Township, at the corner of Camden and Grass Lake Roads. And so those will be 2 300-foot towers, along with another new tower that we will build on property we already own in the Litchfield Industrial Park. The City of Litchfield gave us just under 4 acres a couple of years ago, with the idea eventually we would hopefully be able to construct a new radio system, so we have that property over there as well. So we now have our property to build those towers. We continue to move forward. Right now, we are still looking at probably 18 months to 2 years out when that system is up and operational. And as we move forward with that, get that project kicked off, I will continue to report to you as we're moving forward with that. Also, our new dispatch software, our new CAD system, computer-aided dispatch system, is still set to go live on April the 15th of 2025. And Dallas, you were at the Fire Association meeting?
I did not know.
Okay, so Fire Association meeting, it was announced by Director Whitaker from Central Dispatch. The county IT department is going to make available to all of the fire departments within the county an iPad terminal, so they can have it in their trucks, so they can actually see that dispatch information. All of our ambulances already have it. All of our law enforcement units already have that. But this would also be, so you could put them most likely in your first out vehicle, so your medical first responder vehicle, and also probably your primary fire apparatus, your pumper. So the nice thing about that is, for the MFR side, you actually can see what ambulance is put on your call, and you will know who else, where those resources are coming from, and also you can see them. So you'll know what the ETA is on that. So that'll be a monthly fee. It looks like whether they're going to structure it, it's going to be a 3-year lease. After 3 years, you would own that. As we know with technology, probably after 3 years, it'll be time for an upgrade on those iPads anyways. But basically what it'll be is it'll be the iPad, the cost of the iPad, and then because they have to have a cell phone connection, that's how they'll connect, is via cell. So there'll be a cell subscription to FirstNet, which is AT&T's first responder priority program. So I think those are going to be around $80 a month, and I'm pretty sure that probably every department in the county will have at least one. But like I say, for those of us that do fire and EMS, like my own department, like your department, probably you want one in the medical truck, as well as one in your first out fire apparatus. Maybe you'll want more than that. So we're going to have a kickoff meeting on that, kind of a train the trainer of how that will work. And 911 Director Thomas Whitaker will be getting that information out as the dates for that training. So that is exciting news we continue to move forward with. We are moving forward with our new materials management plan. The Eagle has now accepted that. And so our next step is to actually appoint the committee. Those are set in statute. We've already established what those positions will be. We'll have a representative from township government, we'll have a representative from city government, waste producer, a recycling producer, there's a bunch of other things there. One of the interesting ones that we are kind of struggling with is we're supposed to have a composter. So a company that receives organic materials and composts them. There's none in the county. And so we asked Eagle about that, and they said, well, they don't have to be from your county, and well, there's nobody in any of the surrounding counties. They said, well, it can be from anywhere in the state. We felt that would be kind of difficult, and they said, well, if you can't find one, let us know. So it looks like there's going to be an ongoing amount of flexibility. Again, there are 83 counties in the state. All 83 will have to do one of these plans, and we're all a little bit diverse, and especially when you get to more rural areas. Sure, northern Michigan and the Upper Peninsula will probably have a lot of the same struggles that we will have. So, but we are moving forward with that. We probably will appoint those positions in the month of December, and so we will need someone from township government. So if there is someone, since village is in the township, you are also township members. If there's anybody from your council that would be interested in serving on that, the application would be our standard application for community involvement that is on the Board of Commissioners site. You can fill one of those out. Just note on it's for the Materials Management Committee. Did receive word today via email, and so it was sent out to all of the ambulance agencies as well as the Board of Commissioners that RU Director Keith O'Neill will be stepping down from his position. Director is at agency in December. I believe December 10th will be his last day. And I'm sure that REU, that they will be advertising that position. I know Keith has made a pretty good effort in his time here in Hillsdale County. He lives over by Onstead, but works here every day. And he's made a pretty good effort to get out and visit and give reports and numbers to all the local units of government. So hoping that whoever his successor is, that they will be equally vested in getting that information out. Our county employees, part of building our 2025 budget, they will be receiving an increase in pay. The first is a step increase. You may recall that over a year ago we did a classification study and wage study to comparable counties, and we said that we don't pay our employees enough, and so in relation to other surrounding comparable counties. And so we set out a plan over 9 years to raise them up to a comparable amount. However, as we know, that inflation eats away, so if you give them a raise to try and get them to a target, because you can't do it all at once, and you don't compensate for inflation, that it just chips away, it eats away, and you haven't made any progress 9 years later. So actually they'll be getting two different components of a raise. One will be that little over 3%, the step increase, so it'll take them to step 2 on that increase schedule. And then we are giving all of our employees an across-the-board 3% wage increase, so it'll be just slightly over 6%. That applies to all of our rank and file employees. They will get both step increase as well as the 3% with the exception of those that have labor contracts, so sheriff's deputies and command staff and 911 staff, because they have a separate labor agreement. But everybody else will be getting that. The elected officials, because they're not on that 9-step increase, they will be getting a 3% increase. However, the Board of Commissioners is always a standalone from that. We're kind of different because the legislature has said that commissioners can only raise their wages prior to the term started. So the village council, like yourselves, that you can do that every year and adjust for inflation. Boards of commissioners, they have to only do it before the legislative term starts. And so now we're going to a 4-year term. So we're having some internal discussion. Michigan Association of Counties Legal Counsel has said we can't structure that because with 2 years, usually what we would do is maybe every 4 or 6 years, we kind of play catch up to what all the other electeds had. And so, first of all, we have a catch up from the last time that we got an increase for the commissioners, but then we also have to figure out how we're going to deal with that 4-year now rather than 2-year change where we can't do those step raises. They have said, NAC has told us though that if we pass a proposal that sets the wages for each year of that 4-year term, we can do that. So we're still in discussion on this. Stay tuned. I hope to have a report to you. And that segues into that the 2025 budget is all but set as far as the numbers all balanced. And so consequently, we will have that presented. It's been set out to all of our department heads. And we will be presenting that at next week's meeting for tentative approval. If it does receive tentative approval, we will set a public hearing on that budget because just like you, we have to have a public hearing, allow not only the public but our staff to check in on that. If they have any concerns about the budget that has been allocated to their department, they can present that to the Board of Commissioners, and then after that public hearing, then we would have a final resolution for approval of that. So we are hoping to have that budget approved at our final meeting in November. And once that is done, then we will have that up on the county website. Part of the costs that go into building that budget is health insurance. Health insurance is a big ticket item for the county. All in all, we have some departments that reimburse, like building inspection. They have their own funding source, 911, they're county employees, but they have through the 911 surcharge, so they reimburse the general fund back. But we spend about $1.8 million for health insurance in Hillsdale County every year. And so to help control some of the costs of that, we will be changing our provider. We have been with Priority Health for a number of years, and we are going to be switching to Blue Cross Blue Shield. So they came in with a not nearly as big an increase as Priority was double digit. So Blue Cross, they did come in with a pretty good proposal last year. Deductibles will be a little bit higher under the Blue Cross Blue Shield proposal, but we need to find a way because our employees pay 20% of the cost, so that eats away at that raise that we're giving them. We give them a raise, if we eat up all of it with an increase in their health insurance, so we try to make all of those things balance. And that concludes my report for the evening, unless you have questions for me.
When's your courthouse getting clean, finished up?
So the latest and greatest is that they should have all the scaffolding down a week from Friday. And you can see more and more of it. They've got most of it down now below the roof line, but they are finishing up some areas on the main roof, the barrel tile. They also have to put the barrel tile on the elevator addition because that is now about 15 or 16 years old, that addition. And I believe it was completed in 2008. So, okay, 2024, it's about 16 years old. Shingle roofs are good for about 20 years. And we said, since we gotta put a roof on it, let's put the same barrel tile on that because the barrel tile is pretty much it's like metal roofs. I won't say it's a forever roof, but it's a very, very long-term solution. Long as you do the underlayment right underneath, which is what we didn't do when we put the barrel tile on back in 1980. So, you know, that 44 years ago, we put that barrel tile up there and it leaked, but it wasn't the barrel tile, it was that we never stripped off the old standing seam roofing underneath it. So it's been properly prepped this time, but we're gonna put that on so the answer to your question is, the scaffolding should all be down on the outside of the building a week from Friday, 15th of November, and they tell us they should be out and done by the 30th. So we're close, and it looks good. So Steve, I appreciate your comments about that. Thank you. So the building does look nice. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brad. Streets, anybody got anything on streets they wanna report?
Not my knowledge.
Okay. Finance committee? Fire committee? Parks? I don't know if this falls under parks, but we've supported the recreation, little kids, baseball, softball and stuff. There's a couple in town that takes care of the junior pro basketball and football. And I didn't realize that they've been paying for t-shirts and initiation fees to get these kids into these tournaments. I'm not blaming Summer Rec for not kicking in, or the school, I'm just saying, if we had some monies to donate to them, I'd like to do that. I'd like to talk to this individual and find out how much they, rough ballpark figure, what they've paid out of their pocket. Maybe the village, if we have money, could reimburse them. But I'd like to table this until next month, but I would like to forewarn you that I would like to talk about this next month with a set figure. Because they're doing the kids a big favor. They're doing a good job, so I think we should help them out if we possibly can. Anything else on parks? I did talk to the insurance man today, and he said he'd give you a phone number or a lady's name.
Yeah.
Have you two got together on that? All right. For more playground, used playground equipment. Other than that, I think the Parks Committee is done. Building and grounds, we've covered the carpet and the tile. Sewer Committee. I have some news on the sewer, for the sewer committee. We got an email from EPA that the grant we applied for forever ago has been moved up to the next thing, and we've got, we just got, Ellie got it today. We have 4 things we gotta pursue on. I've already called Brian Smith, he's gonna come in, sit down, and go over this to see if there's something that he's already done to help us out through his other work and that. But the first one is obtain a unique entity identifier. There's a UEI in parentheses. Second one is take required, I'm not sure who this person would be, possibly Ellie. Take required EPA grants management training for applicants and recipients. And develop a draft work plan. So, and I have we can either communicate through email or I have a phone number, so as soon as I talk to Brian, we'll get a hold of them and keep pursuing that grant, which I think it was for around $500,000. And a 3 years ago, but that would include pumping the sludge out of the one pond that Brian says it's not a problem, but it's been flagged that it is, so we've been working on it, along with fixing our bank. So, just to keep you updated on that. Ordinance Committee. Don't know if we have anything on ordinance, for the Ordinance Committee. We did serve the summons to Pratt Street residents for those 2 properties. I talked to Levi the other day and to see if he'd been down there. I thought he had. I went halfway down there. It almost looks like they started to do something. But we've decided we're gonna go down, take pictures, wait a week and see if they're still doing it. If not, we have to get a hold of the lawyer. This is only if not. We have to get a hold of the lawyer and take them to court, like we did Shaw on Knapp Street. But in order for us to get our money out of the one side of Pratt Street, if we go in there and clean that knockdown house up, we're gonna have to put a lien on the property, otherwise, he's already openly told me he's gonna let it go to back taxes. And it's my understanding from talking with the county treasurer that they're gonna get their money first before our taxes that we put on for cleanup would be paid. In order for us to get it, we have to put a lien on it, and I don't know how much that will cost. In the meantime, if they're hauling stuff away and we hound them a little bit, maybe they'll have it respectable by next spring. Their backyard still looks like junk, but
But I know they got rid of the goats, and they got rid of some,
they sure got rid of some tires. I didn't think I
oh, I
saw
don't know
them.
about the tires. But I know they got rid of the goats and some other animals, so they got that part gone, but
They're slowly working on it,
yeah,
but I don't know when they're gonna stop. I don't wanna be rude about it, but that's what they've done in the past.
mhm.
So, by next month, we're gonna have to decide whether we're gonna take them to court, clean it up ourselves, and then put a lien on it, try to get some money back. Otherwise, we probably won't get nothing. Personnel Committee, Ellie.
So personnel committee met the end of October. So in the process of when we were filling Bob's position, full-time position, we made updates to the policy and some of the benefits, things like that. So we decided, let's meet, talk about part-time employee now to try and kind of, level the playing field. So Levi and Bob work great together. They've been able to do more things in-house. And Levi and Bob as well bring a lot of knowledge to the village as far as fabrication, just different projects that we've had to outsource in the past. So Levi is currently only making $14 an hour. We talked about wages for him, and personnel committee talked about $18 an hour, $150 food allowance, and $150 clothing allowance. Those allowances are yearly. So just need a motion if everybody's on board with that. And,
I'll make a motion to pay him plus food, clothing allowance.
I'll support him.
It's definitely worth it, I'll say that.
So I think you can cheap at that.
yes, okay. So William in seconds.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Did you get a second?
And then I do have one thing for public comment too. And this kind of goes into public comment, most of the updates, I'm sure. As far as community involvement with the Scarecrow contest, I think that everybody can agree that that was wonderful. And so trying to continue with the community involvement, I thought maybe month of December we could do a Christmas light decor contest around the homes. City of Hillsdale does one, you upload pictures to Facebook, same process as the Scarecrow, most votes. So I just want to throw that out there, and then I will work on getting like some type of a prize or something, donations. I think City of Hillsdale does like a consumer's energy credit for like first place or something along those lines, so. I can
I
focus
think
on
that'd be
that.
cool. The sooner we get it out, the better, so people
Yeah.
can start.
Yeah, so I thought maybe if we say, like, voting from, like, the 20th to the 24th, maybe, and then,
I don't know.
or do we want to announce more towards New Year's, what do you think about?
Maybe do like the 26th. So it's, after,
Yeah, so like the
Gets
20th
people-
through the 26th
Yeah.
voting, yeah.
give you a little bit more time to vote, but then people have plenty of time to vote and to pour out.
Okay,
Could you kind of announce it at the tree meeting too, as a
Yep.
reminder?
yeah, we can do that. And tree lighting is December 1st, just as a reminder too.
Yep. And, the Hillsdale College kids are coming over again.
Good.
got a hold of them, got those confirmed. Preachers are on board.
That's all I have.
Melissa, you got any comments?
Sure. We had 8 participants in the Scarecrow contest, which, we actually, all of the old men that go to the corner store first thing in the morning, including my husband. So there were actually,
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Where do you get this old stuff?
oh,
I'm the ringleader down there.
I know. So there were actually people that had, Tom said he talked to a couple people that said we had no idea. So next year we'll do a little bit more, and even with the lighting, we'll do a little bit more advertising. So if we can post some things at the corner store and the gas station and stuff to let people know, besides just social media and the posting that was here at the village, that would have participated if they had realized what was going on. And we have plenty of people in the community that I forget that they don't do social media. So, you know, we'll do a little bit better during Christmas stuff. So that was great, and we ended up having a $75 prize that went to Laura Strzelecki for her little outhouse scarecrow. That was great, and we appreciated everybody that participated in that. We had 13 trunks, I believe, that set up for trunk or treat, and everybody did a great job decorating. I think we had only one vehicle that didn't decorate, and they were really funny about the whole thing. So we ended up having a $100 prize for the best trunk, and it was unanimous between the couple people walking around who that was, and it was a family on Monroe Street that won that. And they, when we gave them the prize for it, they were actually very surprised. They had participated the last year also and had decorated, and they were just happy to be there and do that. So that was great.
Wally come in at a tight second, I heard too.
He did, but only second.
Sponsor, yeah,
But we didn't know he was there. He had that
No.
outfit on.
He was very dressed up. So we appreciated the sponsors. We appreciated the sponsors that helped make that happen. We did get, both prizes were gift certificates to Genoffis, so they were continuing to spend that money within the community and make sure that that money was put in the right places for people that live here. So that was great. When Ellie mentioned doing the Christmas thing, I wondered if maybe we should do a plaque with that year's winner instead, as an option, or even as to a prize, so that we can keep a plaque here for trunk or treat and for Christmas lights, and people, when they come in, they go, oh, my name's up here. So, and we can keep better track of kind of who wins year to year. Would be fun. So, something to consider. I don't think we have anything else going on. Probably the only thing I would want to mention is that the Center Adams Tractor Club, after Heritage Day, said that they would be interested in doing more tractor pulls here in the community than just on Heritage Day, and wanted to find out if there was any possibility to do that. And so Tom and I have talked a little bit, since he's going to continue to still organize the tractor pulls for Heritage Day with the team that's taking over. He's going to continue to talk to them about what that cost looks like. They said they could get a sled, that we wouldn't have to get that through NAPS with their mini rods. And so we're going to continue to have those conversations, but we definitely would like to know if council and the community at large is interested in doing maybe a couple tractor pulls through the summer. It is a lot of noise, it does bring in a lot of people, but it also,
You're talking just antique poles.
just antique pulls, it would not be the mini rods. And so I know that from talking to corner store and obviously Genoffis and those places that stay open, I'm sure the gas station gets a lot of it. Their business those days is crazy compared to any other day. even during trunk or treat, when I walked in, Margaret was people deep in a line, which was awesome that we can encourage that many people to continue to shop in those places and eat in those places while we have events. So,
Could you do something like that and bring like a couple food trucks in too?
so what
Like
we
the tractor pulls,
Yeah.
food trucks,
what we talked about
like
is
a mixture?
yes. So for Food Truck Day in June, because I'm still not brave enough to do another October event, just not here for it. So what I'm wondering is if we can move the food trucks and the like retail vendors back out into Railroad Street for that day, and then have all the antiques parked on the ball field like we do for Heritage Day, allow them the space to spread out and have whatever space they need that day in the ball field. We would continue to do that on Sunday, so we're not interrupting baseball that day. And so we could do tractor pulls and food truck day together, so we're not shutting things down twice for that particular event. And maybe we consider doing it in July on a day as well. So we definitely need to talk to Center Adams a little bit more and find out what their schedule looks like, what that cost is gonna look like. But they thought that the money that we normally receive back, they charge the antiques a pull fee for each pull they do. I feel like it's like $10 or something. And then normally Center Adams donates all of those pull fees back to the Heritage Day Committee to help cover some expenses for having run the event. And in this circumstance, not having Tri-State Mini Rods here with their sled, Center Adams thought that the pull fees they get from those tractors would cover a sled that they would maybe rent from another group, and that it would be a wash for that particular thing. So there would not be a cost to us sponsors trying to raise that money to do tractor pulls that day. So it would be relatively low cost. It would just take over the ball field.
Are they gonna provide the plaques for the weight classes?
So we haven't gotten into any of that conversation yet. They just were really encouraged because of the work that's been done on the tractor pulling track the last 2 summers, really trying to get back into the community more than just for Heritage Day. And so we definitely want to entertain that conversation because it does bring a lot of business. It brings a lot more folks into town to see, you know, what we have to offer and that we're all cute. So just want to make sure that council and community is open to that extra noise and people during those days, and that we're having some of those conversations. So
I don't think that we need anything to bring more people in is a good idea.
Antiques don't make that much noise.
no, fortunately, it's way less than the mini rods. So, but it is a lot of clogging up the streets, and there are trailers and things that have to have places to park, and so it definitely would require us to put the food trucks back in Railroad Street, which doesn't really cause much of an inconvenience, honestly. Since it's just the afternoon, we probably would run a little bit longer with the tractors, just depending on how late they want to run with the daylight. So
You might wanna start earlier too.
possibly, but then not having fireworks and not having to kick them out of that space before it's dark gives them an opportunity to run a little bit later into the evening as well. So thanks.
I've been asking for like 2 years.
We're gonna have to check with their insurance man, make sure we don't have to have a special coverage beyond what you normally get.
Correct. So it would probably be similar to what we have for Heritage Day, which is still pretty low. And I imagine that when we had Food Truck Day this last June, we did charge for the trucks, and we charged vendors. It was minor in the grand scheme of things. Trucks were $50 a piece, and the vendors were $25. It covered the expenses of having extra porties and some other things, and we were able to have everything paid for. For really, I think Food Truck Day, I managed for less than $1,500 for the day in expenses. It's pretty low. And sponsors take care of all of it. So that's great. And I think that even if we needed to get that expense from, because I wouldn't do music if we're gonna have tractor pulls. And normally I have a $300 to $500 expense for music, just so there's a little bit of noise and entertainment for people walking around, but, you know, if there's tractor pulls, I'm not gonna do that. So there would be some extra money that I normally would spend on that, that we could put toward, the premium that day as well, because it would be a little bit extra than just our food trucks, so.
Any other board comments? I have one. Does anybody have public comments?
Mr. Beach,
Yes, sir.
I'd just like to commend, and maybe you'll want to pass it on to her, how clear and concise, succinct Kelly was in her explanation of the audit. I've sat through some of them on the board, and actually it was her partner that has done them and other entities, and Kelly just made it so clear. I thought that was pretty cool. And Brad always gives a very thorough report, explains things quite well, so just commend these two on that.
Thank you. This is not a public comment. This is my gut feeling. And I may be wrong in saying it out loud, but I've been irritated on this for quite a while now. The people that worked on the Act 51 money did not receive any bonuses from it. We worked our tail off trying to get it. I spent 2 hours trying to call Washington, D.C. to get a frickin' code number that somebody had screwed up prior to us even trying to get North Adams Village signed up for it. 2 hours of my time sitting in my pole barn listening, you're number 96. Now you're 94. We did not get a bonus. Nancy Interkin and Al and I worked at Nancy's house a better part of 10 hours apiece together. And I'm just disturbed that someone thinks that we took money from that. We spent that whole amount of money on that new truck because we absolutely needed it. And then what little money we had left over or the general fund could kick in, we bought a snowplow. And it just irritates me to think that we took that money. These people on this board get $45 a meeting. We have a special meeting. If you made $50 a meeting, that's $300 to have these people come in. Ellie and I don't get reimbursed for that special meeting. So, when we had to do the grapple, a week after the meeting, that's why I called all the council members and I explained to them. We didn't do nothing underhanded. I thought we were saving the village $300. And I just get irritated. And I'm gonna shut my mouth before I say more and get my butt in trouble. Thank you for listening, and I don't expect to comment back. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
I'll
Thank you.
support it.
All in favor? Good night.